Hi, guys. So I'm Adrian, and you already gave my first couple slides. I was a professor at Carnegie Mellon working on big data and machine learning way before it was cool, and then worked at Google X on some top secret projects and on self-driving cars at Zoox, and then about 5 years ago started a company called Streamlit. And Streamlit was based on the idea that for machine learning engineers like us, it was really easy to build Python scripts, little bits of Python that would read some data and transform that data, and then write the results to a file. But the kind of coding that was required to create complex apps involving a stack with many different languages and callbacks was a much harder thing to do. And so we had this idea that really the machine learning community needed a way to build apps using their own language. And so we came up with this thought that there was a new way of writing apps in which your so-called machine learning app just felt like a little Python script that you loaded some data, transformed it, and saved it. And of course, it's not just about the technical, theoretical underpinnings of this kind of thing. We also wanted to make it just super, super easy and fun and just feel really good in the hand to use. In fact, there's this amazing idea from the game design community, which is that when a game is toy-like. Do you know what toy-like means? It means that you can play with it without even knowing the rules. It's something that you want to play with and hold, even like a G.I. Joe, even if you don't have any specific rules. And we wanted to give Streamlit that sensibility. So 5 years ago, we wrote a little Medium post in Medium, and we explained what this thing was and what we were building. And how many of you are startup founders? Raise your hand. OK. All right, so we're like 10% startup founders, maybe 5%. Well, you'll all recall what it felt like when you launched your product for the first time. We launched it, and we held our breath, and it felt like nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden, it just worked. And Streamlit turned into one of the fastest growing machine learning and data science open source projects of all time. And so last year, we were lucky enough to be acquired by Snowflake. And this allows us to do a number of extremely interesting things and really give us a different purchase on the world. Not only can we continue to develop Streamlit, which is super fun, and grow the community, which is still growing very quickly, but we also get access to Snowflake's unbelievable set of customers. And we've been developing a first-class implementation of Streamlit in Snowflake that lets you take all the sort of fun and ease and quickness of building Streamlit apps and use the integrated IDE in Snowflake and share it with other people in your company. So this is not released quite yet, but it's in private preview with a couple hundred Snowflake customers, and we're really excited about it. But this isn't just a talk about Streamlit and Snowflake. This is also a talk about Streamlit and LLMs. Because remember when I said that Streamlit was one of the fastest growing open source machine learning and data science libraries of all time, whatever that means, right? Well, 6 months ago, this crap happened. Yeah. I mean, it's just super embarrassing, you know? And, you know, we've been working on this for a long time, and I think if you look at a graph like this, there's really only one conclusion that you can possibly come to, which is that we spent way too much money on our website. So, but actually, as we all know, this isn't a passing fad. We are actually living truly in one of the most amazing years in human history right now. It's just amazing to be alive. 2023 was really the year where LLMs, generative AI, exploded into our consciousness. And it's had an extremely profound effect on Streamlit as well. It turns out that Streamlit is an amazing way to write LLM apps. And so we've actually seen GPT-0. Do you guys remember GPT-0? So this was an app created by a Princeton student which allows you to determine whether or not text was generated by GPT, or at least estimate whether or not that's the case. It was released on Streamlit, and that led to this explosion of Streamlit apps which all use GPT on the back end in order to, or GPT or other LLMs, I should say, on the back end, in order to provide these really amazing generative experiences. And so the sort of explosion in generative AI over the past couple of months has really started to change what Streamlit is. And we're seeing it just amazingly change our own statistics. So we now have 150,000 unique monthly active developers that we know of. And they are generating apps which are being viewed 3.6 million unique times every month. So it's pretty remarkable. Now, it's very interesting to watch this happen from inside a company like Snowflake, because from the perspective of a Snowflake customer, really for the past 10 years, the world has kind of looked like this. You will have a stakeholder which will come to you in the data science group and ask you to, let's say, write a query or perhaps create a visualization. And of course, inevitably, it's not the right query and it's not the right visualization. And so these things happen over and over and over again in this iterative loop. And this is really the world of a data scientist or a data engineer today. And with the advent of generative AI, we now have the ability to do something really profound, which is give the stakeholder the ability to iterate directly on the results that they're getting. And of course, what this looks like is we generate a chatbot. And with this chatbot, we basically give the stakeholder the ability not just to say, I want this, but no, not quite that. And it was realizing this for me that made me realize that this chat interface thing is really, it's not just an artifact of a particular way that OpenAI released their product for now. It's actually a fundamental paradigm of the generative AI LLM world, that you'd want the ability to tell the app, not quite this, a little bit more of that, over and over and over again, and sort of interact with it to generate the result that you want. Now, I was going to live code a Streamlit chatbot, which was going to be super awesome. But I didn't have time to get the template working. So I'm going to instead show you what this looks like. And we're going to do some live coding, don't worry, just that template. Where are you? And so this allows us to quickly build a chatbot in Streamlit. In this case, just doing nothing interesting, but interact with an LLM under the hood. In this case, it's Anthropic's LLM. And this is about 15 lines of Streamlit. And notably, not just 15 lines where we hermetically sealed it all. Of course, you could do this in like one line of Streamlit if you wanted to have an API like that. This is a 15 lines of Streamlit in which every part of it can be understood, pulled apart, and customized. And of course, that lets you do really interesting things like basically intercept the input from the user, alter it on its way to the LLM. We haven't gotten into chain of thought yet. Alter it however you want on its way to the LLM, and then interpret the results on the way back, which essentially gives you the ability to create an arbitrarily programmable chatbot. So this is a very, very simple chatbot, which, again, is only a few lines more of code than the sort of most basic one, which actually asks the LLM to generate SQL queries. And then based on those SQL queries, execute them on behalf of your private data. So the point here is that we've created a way on behalf of Snowflake's customers to very rapidly access the power of LLMs and their private data and create bespoke chat apps with the same speed that they can generate Streamlit apps in general to do arbitrary data analyses. OK. So we talked about the fact that Streamlit, there's been an explosion of LLM apps generated using Streamlit, AKA the Streamlit app, which then calls the API of an LLM, which then does interesting things. And there are thousands of these, and we have a web page about it now. But there's a sort of flip side to this, which is interesting, which is that, oops, not only is Streamlit an amazing way to write LLM apps, LLMs are an amazing way to write Streamlit apps. OK? So for this next demonstration, I'm going to need a volunteer from the audience. Who would like to be a volunteer from the audience? OK, I see a hand raised right there. Can you stand up? OK. Are you guys ready? Here we go. All righty. What is your name, volunteer? Mario. OK. What company do you work at? Say that again. VIO? Wind.io. We're just going to say Wind.io. I know that's not actually true, but that's OK. You know what? We're just going to hallucinate this. All right. Tell me, Mario, not to embarrass you in front of the audience, but what is your dream? Your dream is to become a rock star. OK. Let's go into to become a rock star. Now, obviously, this is a data analytics problem, so we're going to want at least one numerical input slider and an Altair bar chart and an Altair line chart. And we don't need any biographical information about Mike. I don't know. That's from an old slide. OK. And what is your goal in terms of becoming a rock star? Help us. What's the first step? Writing a hit song. OK. So we want Mario to be able to write a hit song. OK. So what we have created here is a little prompt. So let's have fun and ask ChatGPT using GPT-4. We can't mess around here on stage. To generate a little app for us. Now, this does take a little bit of time, and it brings to mind a sort of interesting aspect of living amidst these incredible superhuman intelligences, which is, why do they take so long to run? I mean, obviously, it would be ideal if these hyper-intelligent machines also were instantaneous. But here we go. So part of the point here is that this is a non-trivial app. And also, this is a non-canned demo. So this is really GPT-4 running right now. How many of you think this is probably, I don't know, 50 lines of code, 75 lines of code. How many of you think this is going to run on the first go? All right. How many of you think I should run it right now? All right. Mario, let's see what we have. All right. We're going to go over here, and we're going to test this. Hello, weights and biases. Oh, by the way, shout out to weights and biases. When I said hello, weights, GitHub autocomplete and biases. All right. So let's delete this. You can delete this too. And let's write our app. Now, recall, this app was literally generated seconds ago, live on stage by GPT. Let's see what happens. Here we go, Mario's Rockstar Dream. Hello there, I'm Mario from Window.io. I'm sorry, Mario. I'm sorry, Window.io. I dream of being a rock star. Select the number of verses from your hit song. OK, so this is obviously a humorous app. It doesn't have real data in it. But on the other hand, it is a true, non-trivial Streamlit app, which actually has a bunch of pieces coming together and interactively interacting with one another. And the fact that I have run this demo many times, and it has never not succeeded, that I feel comfortable doing it on stage in front of 200 ML engineers with GPT-4, is really a remarkable thing about this age. And so when we come back and think about this, we see that there are actually two sides to this coin. Not only is Streamlit an amazing, in a world in which Streamlit is an amazing way to write LLM apps, and LLMs are an amazing way to write Streamlit apps, a sort of interesting thing happens here. And this is something that we've been thinking a great deal about at Snowflake with our customers. I can't give you a full preview of what we're going to show because we're going to demonstrate a lot at Snowflake Summit, which is our big user conference in in exactly 19 days. And I had to swear up and down to Snowflake marketing and whoever else that I was not going to reveal all of our secrets. But can you guys keep a little secret here? OK, good. With some chain of thought magic, and with Streamlit's new chatbot API to be released, you can start to enter a world in which the chatbot can not only interpret natural language, so not only a world in which Streamlit can be used to harness the power of LLMs on behalf of your enterprise partners, but also in which the LLM itself can generate fragments of Streamlit apps as part of the interaction. And the remarkable thing is not only that this is possible, which 6 months ago or a year ago I would have not believed, but also how remarkably few lines of code this is. We don't have to tell the chatbot really anything about the world. It knows about Streamlit. It knows about data. It knows about SQL. And so in 19 days in Las Vegas, we're going to make a series of really interesting and exciting announcements. And you'll also get to see exactly how we built this chatbot from top to bottom. So really excited to share this with you. Please, if you haven't downloaded Streamlit yet, go ahead and download Streamlit and play with it and connect it to your LLMs. And if you are interested, come to Las Vegas in 19 days, join 10,000 other developers, and hear a lot more about Snowflake, Streamlit, LLMs, and other exciting things.